In this episode, we're taking a look at the Bootstrap NPM starter template. Is it something you should be using, or is it something that is going to be awesome in the future? Let's get started. All right, so I'm going to give you some disclaimers. I am trying out a lot of different technical things today, so hopefully everything will go as planned. But bear with me because there's a lot of knobs and switches that I have to turn on in order to get this thing to work. So we are looking at something called the NPM starter template, and it's really just a GitHub repo. If you go to the Bootstrap website, you'll see that there are all these different side projects that they give you access to, and one of them you may have heard of is Bootstrap Icons. That could be another episode that we take a look at that one. And then there are official themes that you can use to create different websites, but nestled in the installation section of the current Bootstrap version, which is still 4.5. I did do a separate video on version 5 and what you should look for if you are thinking about updating your projects and what's new. So you can take a look at that. However, nestled in here is this thing called our NPM template repo. And that's what I was showing you on this other page. So this template repo has essentially the sort of an NPM project that lets you create an installation of Bootstrap kind of ready to go. I don't know that it's something that I would totally use today, but you can kind of see where they're going with this project. I know that I often start node projects for Bootstrap or just regular versions of Bootstrap, and I need to build my own gulp processes, and it's sort of a pain to set up. I probably have my own version of my Bootstrap projects sort of startup package, but it's interesting to see that they are moving towards one that they have built officially themselves. So what's in this thing? Let's take a look at some of the content in here. So if you look at what you get here, actually, let's just go through the documentation really quick. It's a GitHub template repository for creating new Bootstrap-powered NPM projects. It's actually quite good for just creating any Bootstrap project. That gives you all the code that you need to get started with all the links, and it has all of the packages, all installed in the package.json. So here's what you get. You get a single HTML page, an index.html that is just a regular project with some basic code. You also get Bootstrap 4.5.0 as of today, but they will be updating that to Bootstrap 5. And then in addition to that, you get a sample style sheet. So you do get the content for Bootstrap in SCSS. As you may or may not know, Bootstrap itself is actually built with Sass. So they give you a starter Sass template. That's actually quite nice. And also a JavaScript file showing you how you can import all of Bootstrap or just the parts that you need. So to install this thing, this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky here with my projects. I may not be able to see your comments for a little bit. So let me go ahead and see if there's anything that I need to take care of. Let's see, probably some people saying hi. Hey, Ray, is there a schedule somewhere for our sessions? Absolutely not. I am, right now, I'm trying to figure out, this is interesting, I'm trying to figure out what the best schedule for something like this will be, because I am not sure how LinkedIn Live is sort of treating the traffic. What we're seeing is, or what I'm seeing is that I get a lot of traffic for 3 days and then it kind of drops off. I think it has to do with the feed itself. So part of the reason why I'm sort of broadcasting at random times is because I don't know what is going to work best. I think that maybe if I did things earlier in the morning, but regardless of what I do, the web is the global audience. So I think that if you try to do, say, 10 a.m. Eastern, that's way too early for the West Coast. So I don't really have, a schedule, and I'm not sure that I'm going to have them right now. Yeah, you only get notifications if you follow me, and I probably need to start a hashtag for this show. But good question, Jason. At some point, maybe I'll add a schedule once I figure out what I think the best schedule will be. So having said that, let's kind of dig into what we're going to do. And as I mentioned, this is where it's going to get tricky, because what I need to do is actually use this separate product that I have here. I have an ATEM Mini, which is in addition to my streaming setup, which I use StreamYard to do that with. It's pretty awesome. But there's a limitation in that you can only share one screen. So when I do this sort of sharing like this, or even like this, I can choose to share my entire window, which then you will be able to see all of the actual StreamYard application and everything that I'm seeing, which you don't really want to see. And so I need a way of switching for different sort of shares. Like I wish I was able to share more than one thing, but right now I can only share one thing or remove it. And if I remove it, then I can share something else. But if I share my entire screen, then you can see all kinds of things that you really shouldn't be seeing. If I, want to share Visual Studio Code, I could share that application. But I really need to show you kind of my whole desktop today. So that's what I'm trying out. And let's go ahead and do it. I think I'm sort of just talking about it because I'm concerned about, what's going to happen here. But hopefully you guys will bear with me. All right, so what I'm going to do is switch over to another window and actually just share my desktop. And I'm going to use Hyper. And I'm going to open up Chrome, another window for Chrome. And then I'll go to the Get Bootstrap website. And here I can go ahead and look for the NPM template repo. So I'm using Hyper now. I could use Visual Studio Code, but whenever I begin a project, I tend to just open up a Hyper window, which is a terminal application. And here, what I'm going to do is make sure that I'm on the desktop. So I'll do desktop here. And this is probably a little bit small. So let's make that bigger. And what I want to do here is go ahead and issue a git clone command with the starter repo. So let's do that. I'll just copy it and paste it from the website. Okay, that's, oops, not clear. And then I'm going to switch, like it says, to that folder. So Bootstrap. And since it's the only Bootstrap folder, I can use a wildcard here, and it's going to switch me into it. And then I can do npmi for installing all the dependencies. And I'm going to really quickly switch over to StreamYard to make sure. So a couple of other things people are saying, thank you for your content or in the vids. And let me say, I don't know, I think I can only post directly from StreamYard into YouTube. So cool. So I'm going to say, just please let me know if you can't see the other window. I can't really see what StreamYard is doing, although maybe I could do, let's see, let's try just having the StreamYard window in there for a second and then switching over to my other camera. So that's what you would see if I tried to do things. So I think like it should be fine if I'm in this other window. So let's go ahead and put StreamYard over here for now and continue working in here. All right, so let's go ahead and clear this out. And let's see, yep, I'm in the right place. So what I'll do now is what I get with when I do this is I get a folder on my desktop. So now I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code with this folder because I want to do everything in here from now on. And I want to kind of go over the different files that we are getting here. So we have the standard README with a package.json, and you can see here that you get a bunch of different scripts. So we have the ability to compile Sass. It's installed a number of different things. So notice it installed Node Sass. It also installed Auto Prefixer just to take care of any prefixing CSS. And also NodeMon, which is what can run some automation in your Node modules projects. And then PostCSS CLI, which lets you run auto prefixer. Also Pert CSS, which is going to get rid of some of your CSS. I'm not too sure about this. Hey, check it out. I can actually put myself on a corner of the window maybe so you can see me also. Yeah, and you also get a serve command or a serve module that will let you run this, run this and preview it on a browser. So let's go ahead and so you can, I'm going to pull up a terminal now, and I can do, and notice that there's a bunch of scripts right here. So essentially, you can run a watch command, which will watch for changes in your HTML and technically in your Sass, although that's not quite working. And then you can also run the NPM server command, the NPM start server. So let's go ahead and run NPM server. Actually, it should be NPM start server, right? I run, okay, hold on. So it should be NPM run server. And they should run the server. So nicely enough, the address gets copied to your clipboard. In Visual Studio Code, you should be able to command click or command option click. And it looks like it opened this up in a different window. So this is the tricky part here. So let's see, I need to put this on my other desktop. Yeah, so this is what you get. This is the basic page that you get. And if you look at the index.html file here, you'll notice that it's just a simple Bootstrap page with the CSS installed right here. It has the JavaScript, and remember this, where I'm using 4.5 right now, so it is installing jQuery as well as some starter JavaScript. And you can see that there's also an SCSS folder here with some starter SCSS. And what you would do here is you would bring in or customize your variables. So if you wanted to change the color of things, like notice that the text right now is purple. So say that you wanted to change that to gray, you could do that. However, let's go ahead and save this. It's not going to automatically update. So notice that because I'm editing the starter Sass and the command that I have is the server right now, it's not processing the Sass. So I would have to open up another terminal right here and run an npm run watch. So npm run watch. Okay, so I can run both of them concurrently. I just have to run them on different little windows here or different little tabs in your terminal. And now let's see, if I reload, you can see the change has been made. And then if I come in here and let's see, let's change this to red. Let's do purple again. And notice it's not reloading, but if you refresh, it will come up again. And it does have the click me here for a modal. So it's kind of nice. I mean, I do like that it is giving you the option of having a beginner template in a way, but it's not the template that I would build. I have built a lot of other different templates. I think it's useful to take a look at, let's go back, and there's some other comments. Hello, awesome. Hey, look, it's me commenting. So no more gulp. I'm okay with that. No. I mean, I think, so I have a comment here from Carlos. Carlos, hola, ¿cómo estás? Hopefully you know Spanish. But no, I mean, I think that I will probably still stick with gulp, but that's what I wanted to show you, that the way that they're thinking about this, you can tell by looking at the issues and pull requests. So if you take a look at pull requests, and this is a good thing to do for different projects. So notice that 12 days ago, MDO is the developer, Mark Otto, who is the principal design and brand architect at GitHub. So he's really driving all these different projects. It looks like he's thinking about adding Webpack for a JS bundle. Another really cool thing that you can do is sort of give Mark your opinion about this. So he's thinking maybe adding Webpack for bundling the JS here. And he's looking at other options like Rollup or something else. But he's going through the tooling. So this is actually a cool thing that you can do. You should be, learning how to comment and let people know what you think about these things. I sort of think that there should be like different versions, and I'm not exactly sure how to do this, but I think we should have like perhaps like a Gulp template because it's simple and it works. Perhaps like a Webpack or a Rollup. Rollup is also super simple. Webpack is a little bit complicated and it seems kind of overkill, but if it's all set up for you, then, it's really not that big of a deal because you wouldn't have to worry about, the setup. Also, this project is set up as a template. So if you go to Bootstrap NPM starter here, and then you go, let's make myself smaller here. You can see that there is a use this template button. So you could actually create your own copy of this repo in your own GitHub account by hitting this use this template. And then you could start with maybe the modify, like take this template, modify it, and begin your projects with your modified version of this NPM template. So I think I like where they're going with this. If you ask two people to use the same template, I think that they would all say that their templates are going to be slightly different. Like, as I mentioned, I do have my own template, but this is actually a great beginning. I do like some of the things that I see here. So if you notice the other issues, let's see, implementing, let's go to not issues, the pull requests. So if you take a look at some of the other pull requests, they're considering adding Bootstrap icons. Bootstrap icons are the other project that I mentioned. They're up to 1,000 icons. The implementation is not as easy as, if you remember a few days ago, I did a video on css.gg, and it has this fantastic API. Hopefully that's where they're going. That's another project that is, I think, on Alpha 5 right now, the Bootstrap icons are. However, they're planning on adding that to the template as well, and then also add support for the Alpha 5.1 pre-release, as well as, I imagine, other versions. So I think that this is a nice beginner project. And, I'm often thinking about, hey, what would be a fantastic place for people to get involved with when maybe, they're just getting started. I think building templates is a fantastic way of creating, your own open source projects, taking MDOs like Mark's template and modifying it and producing maybe a Gulp version or producing a Webpack version or Rollup or contributing back to the project. Those ideas, I think, is really important and a great way to get involved and get your feet in there. So if you're thinking about what you could be, doing, let's see. Yeah, so hey, my friend Morton, who is watching the show, wow, I feel awesome. He says, Webpack is for bundling JS while Gulp is content agnostic. I have Gulp run Webpack if needed and only when needed. Yes, but I mean, I think I primarily, when I have a simple Bootstrap project, it really depends on what you're doing. Yes, Webpack is a lot more complicated, but it does, you can use Webpack to do things like just process CSS and reload your pages. It's really designed to do more like bundling multiple modules. Rollup does the same thing. You can make a lot of these tools do similar things. But yes, so Carlos says, I do agree some starter template will be awesome. Yeah, I love starter templates. I have my own, and that's really the first thing that I do when I start up a Bootstrap project. I always think, what did I use the last time that I think would still be good as a beginning project? And I begin with that. I have a couple of projects that I've done that I try to maintain and keep updated. So that's what I do. So that's one of the things that Bootstrap has been doing. Like I said, I don't really love everything about this project just yet. For example, like if you look at the index.html file, I'm not sure that I would begin by inserting a modal there. It makes the code a little bit heavier than it needs to be, but it's definitely there to show you how you can also bring in your JavaScript. So I think, let's see, yeah, here's the JavaScript. Here's the starter JavaScript. And notice that it also tells you that you can, with this template, just import the pieces of the scripts that you need, because that's another thing about Bootstrap. You don't need the whole thing. You can just import the parts that you need. So this starter.js just shows you how to bring in only the items that you need, which is what makes this a good NPM sort of base template starter, I think. And then in this particular project, you're never really going to sort of work with the CSS directly. You would be working with the starter.scss. And in the same way here, the way that you work with Sass is you usually create some variables that are going to modify the defaults, as you saw. And then you can have two options. You import all of Bootstrap, or you import just the parts that you need. And the thing about Bootstrap is that different parts depend on other parts. So you can't just say, oh, you need to actually import at least these three things, and quite possibly actually these 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Root, I don't exactly remember what the heck root is, but it looks like it's not required for some reason. And then you bring in the pieces that you need. So this is pretty close to what I would do if I was working on a project, I would probably organize it somewhat like this, not exactly like this, but I think it's an okay template for right now. But this is the time where you can make a difference in this project, because I think it's simple enough right now, and creating your own version of it might be a good idea as well. And I don't see any more comments, but thanks to Jason, Carlos. There's something called VR Academy. Hello there, VR Academy. Hello. And also, this is weird. So I think I made a comment here. So I'm also talking to myself from YouTube. And Carlos, thank you very much. Morton, good to see you, bud. Morton's my pal from LinkedIn Learning. And I think I'm going to stop it there. Honestly, the main thing I wanted to do today is try this part where I'm actually using this ATEM to switch to a different screen while I'm still showing you what's going on with StreamYard. So good talking to you. I have no idea. Like Morton, I have sort of a random schedule right now. I really wanted to record something today because I want to see if I record and do something on Mondays, if it has a longer tail in terms of traffic. So I'll be taking a look at that. And we'll see you again here soon with more of what I'm calling Apply.
Go.